Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. The luminaries on the stage, Mr. Puri, who's there with us, Mr. Jain, who just talked about the freight corridor as to how it is happening, Mr. Prakash, who's part of the steel manufacturing industry, the joint secretary from the steel who makes the policies for us, and none other than Mr. Jindal, who's a name in itself. And I want to say that यहाँ लोग हैं जो स्टील बनाते हैं, इस्पात बनाते हैं, और यहाँ लोग हैं जो इस्पात यूज़ करते हैं. And together we make the infrastructure which belongs to India and which belongs to all of us. So, and thanks to Ms. Monica for giving us this opportunity to be there amongst you all. Steel is touching our lives, and steel is there everywhere, whether it is human body. 4 milligrams of iron is essential for functioning, where the hemoglobin utilizes it to transport the oxygen from one part to the other. So it is as important. From pin to aeroplane, from ships to the submarines down below, industries, medicine, the infrastructure, the rail, the roads, and the speed at which it is happening is tremendous, mind-boggling, and it is something that we are all lucky to be part of this India's growth story. Just to give you the chemistry of steel, it is in our days in the colleges, in the schools, when we studied steel, or the iron, which they call it by a number called the Fe, which is 26th in number. It forms the 8th group of this periodic table, and it is an amazing element in the earth's crust. It is also said that steel, just to go back into history, is meteoritic in nature, meaning that it is heavenly. Most of the meteors which fell on this earth millions of years ago and now is evolving from the crust to be converted into ore and the steel that we all see. The nearest planets on the earth, that includes the Mercury, Venus and the Mars, are majorly the content of the iron is tremendous. So the future also lies in our neighboring planets when we all started exploring the regions beyond the Earth's history. As we grew, the human beings over the years started evolving as to how the steel or the iron in the raw format it came. They started using it to make weapons to fend for themselves. Then came the cast iron, and then came the steel in the early 18th century. And India is also not far behind. Today it is the second largest producer that we've all been talking about, and we all using steel. I come from a defense background, and let me tell you that we at the Military Engineer Services look after the infrastructure of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard and many other government organizations that we all deal with. Today we have the largest landmass as compared to the railways that we are handling and making infrastructures. The pre-independence era, all the old buildings that you see were made by the military engineers, whether it is Delhi, Calcutta, Bombay and so on. With the Navy we make ports and harbors. With the Air Force we make hangars. We are doing a lot of runways. We are making blast pens. We do huge hangars of the size of 100 meters by 100 meters and are purely made by steel. We are making accommodation for our people of the defense forces who live along the borders, in the hinterland and behind, and we do everything that the steel wants to do. And the way we things are moving, our budget every year, the kind of work that we do is almost about 30,000 crore works worth are happening today, and every year we add on about 10,000 crores worth of new works that are happening all along. And what we are looking at is a faster construction that can give us the dividends to reach our targets in the time frame that we are looking for. We were talking about the per capita consumption of steel across the nation, but across the world it is roughly about 250 kgs, which was about 2 years back. What we need to understand as a person from the defense is that while we are manufacturing so much of steel, and I am confident that all the steel is a good quality, but there are some vendors today in the market who are not doing as good, and there have been cases where we have faltered and our structures have not withstood the time frame that way they were supposed to be. So I urge upon all those people who belong to this industry, especially the ones who are, not doing so well, to ensure that whatever we produce is of a high grade quality and it affects the infrastructure and the people who live in there. While it is providing a lot of jobs, we also need to take in mind when we talk about net zero concept and the carbon zero footprint that we all been talking about. This is the need of the hour. The world over people are saying that we need to do it by 2050. India says that we want to do it by 2070. So it be, but we all need to think in this direction and ensure that our steel produces less of carbon, and how do we need to do it. There are places abroad where people are using bacterial injections which will form a mass which can be used to make ethanol, and that is one of the futures. In our own country, we also are going for the secondary, for the scrap that we are doing, we are using this electric arcs and therefore reducing the carbon footprint. The time is not far when we need to do it, and we need to do it together. We need to collaborate, we need to be inclusive, and we need to see that whatever we do is the best in the world. As also, I am very happy and to be part of this India's growth story. People who make steel, people who sit across, who are, as they call it, men made of steel. And this is only happening because you've all been through that fire and been through the hammers of life that we've all come to this page. There are various slogans that we all talk about when we equate steel. These are Mazboot Irada, Ispati Irada, and things like that. For once, before I end, I wish to celebrate this event in terms of why we are here. It's part of the India's growth story, and we are all party to it. So I would request a standing ovation to a country called India, the Bharat, for being part of this celebrative journey. And may I request all of you to stand up for this very celebration of steel and for being part of it. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.